talking about unfair termination.
Wow, thank you very much. Unfair termination, and I'm sure this is a topic that most of us are asking questions. You don't know, sometimes you're just told, go home, or you are dismissed, you didn't understand what happened, you didn't know what to do, and today we're just trying to describe, or we're going to enlighten you on what happens and what are the procedures. So, when you talk about unfair termination, what do you mean?
So, today we'll be explaining to our viewers who are employees about their rights and the steps that are supposed to be taken before being terminated. We care and we want to put them in the know so that they won't be taken advantage of. So today we'll be teaching them about their rights, and we'll also be teaching the employers about the steps they should take before firing the employees to avoid unnecessary legal suits.
Before releasing
them. Some fire unfairly. So to avoid these unnecessary legal suits, how can you part ways in the legal and friendly way?
Yes.
Yeah.
So basically we are going to look at some terms like termination and unfair termination, what it means to be terminated and unfair termination, and grounds for terminations. We are also going to talk about some conditions and basically what is a summary dismissal and stuff like that. So just straight into the discussion again. So what we just describe about termination. So basically what do you mean by unfair termination?
So let me start by defining termination of employment. So termination of employment is when you are told that we no longer need you, we no longer require your services, your employment has been terminated or it has come to an end. And unfair termination is when your employment is stopped but without following the required legal processes. Or without according you audience. Somebody can just wake up one day and they tell you that we no longer require your services.
We have decided to move on without
you. To let you go.
Yes. You woke up, you've taken a loan, or maybe you are doing a project.
Exactly.
Or maybe you've just started building a house at home and then you wake up, go to the office and you're told, thank you, my friend.
And you have kids.
You have kids.
They require you to pay school fees,
So basically, what should be the grounds for termination?
So grounds for termination are, let's say, gross misconduct, poor performance at work, employer's operational requirements, and breach of fundamental terms of an employment contract.
Okay.
So those are some of the grounds that can lead to termination of employment.
When you talk about employer requirement, for the
employer operational requirements.
What do you mean?
Let's say if I operate a construction company, then I go out of business, then I decide to venture into a completely new field in which you do not have any skills, then I'll have to let you go.
Okay.
Yeah.
So basically, you've also mentioned something on there's the third point here.
Employer's operational requirement. Breach of fundamental terms of an employment contract.
Yes. Just for a layman, what do you mean by breach of
breach means you have committed, you have failed to meet the required standards that were set out in the contract. Let's say if your employer provided in the contract that you have to be reporting to work at 9, and then you keep on failing to report to work at 9, you keep on being absent from work, that is breach of a fundamental term in the contract. Or if you cannot just deliver,
just maybe the job is too demanding.
Yeah, or they can put an incomplete clause in the contract, like your employer clearly indicates in the contract that you're not supposed to go and do the same thing we are doing here. Let's say maybe you're like in your line of work, you are sewing uniform for children and you supply them in this particular school. So you go and open your own shop and start supplying the very same uniforms to that same school, doing the very same thing, and they had put an complete clause in the contract, that is breach of contract.
Mostly for media companies,
Yes.
these radio stations,
Exactly.
then you post or you attend another radio station.
Yeah, exactly.
Stuff like that.
It's a ground for termination of employment.
Okay.
Yeah.
So basically, when we talk about redundancy, yes, what do you mean by being redundancy? And basically, what are some of the conditions that would review this?
So redundancy is when a company, let's say, like when a company doesn't need the employees, most of the employees anymore. Let's say maybe a company is in distress. I'll still use the road construction business example because I was once in that business. So let's say you are constructing a road, and then you fail to get more contracts for constructing the road, and you have the surveyors, you have the engineers. So like the fact that you no longer have work, it will mean that these employees are redundant. They do not have anything to do. Yeah, you do not require their services anymore.
Yeah, or maybe for the case of COVID, during COVID.
Exactly.
Yes.
When hotels were closed,
yes.
The
demand for customers now
went
demand is now down.
Yeah.
So your production doesn't meet the supply, so you have to release some people.
Yes, you have to release them
technological
and declare them
advancements.
redundant. Yeah, exactly.
So conditions is what are some?
So for you to declare your employees as redundant, there are conditions that are set down under the Employment Act, which you have to strictly follow. Because if you do not follow those conditions,
yes,
then you can be sued for unfair termination.
Okay.
So before you declare employees as redundant, you have to give them a notice in writing. You have to give the employee, if they belong to a union, you have to also notify the trade union. And you also have to notify the labor office, the county labor office, like in your county. You give them 30 days notice, and while giving them the notice, you have to explain to them in a language that they understand, in a simple language, the grounds or the reasons as to why you are declaring them redundant. Yes, and so you'll give them the 30 days period, and you have to allow them time to discuss upon themselves, like to consult with each other, and you can also engage them in the discussions. Yes, while you try to explain to them the reasons why you are closing. Maybe you can give them even, let's say, if I had hired you as an engineer, if a position has opened up in the company, let's say as a secretary, if you can take it, then I should offer you that
so
position.
So you can offer them optional.
Yes, other options.
If they are interested.
Yes, and you have to consider a lot of factors. Like there's this policy, last in, first out. Like the number of years or the number of months or the number of days that these employees have been working for you.
So those
the ones
in last are the ones
to go out last. Yeah, you can also consider the efficiency of the employees. Yeah, there are some people who are really useful to the company. So these are the people you will want to maintain, and you release them, those ones who are less
efficient.
Yeah, those ones who are less efficient. So after you've given them this notice, after the 30 days now, you'll have to give them the official termination of employment letter, and you pay them their terminal dues, their termination of employment dues.
So now, just a question. For example, I had my contract was still active maybe 2 years, and we're now terminating, maybe we're declaring redundancy. Are you paying, and will you pay me for the remaining period of the contract? Or you just give me?
Not really. The law allows for company in distress to declare the employees redundant. Because if I am in distress, it means that I'm not doing well. So I cannot pay you for that period that you've not worked for me. When even I myself, like I'm not doing well. Yeah. So the law allows for you to pay them their termination. Those are the severance pay. Yeah. If you've not given them sufficient notice, you pay them 1 month's salary in lieu of notice. Yeah, but you will not be required to pay for the time that they have not worked for you, because you are also in distress. As long as you follow the law, and then you will be
you will be safe.
Yes.
So let me ask, what do you really mean when you talk about summary dismissal?
So summary dismissal is where you are terminated without notice. Yes, indefinitely terminated. And this can occur when you commit a gross misconduct. Yes, like when you commit a mistake that cannot be forgiven by the employer. Let's say you steal from the company. Yes, or let's say you fight at work, that's gross misconduct, yeah. And every company has its own policies and it has its own mistakes that they have termed as gross misconduct. So when you're signing the employment contract, make sure you go through the employment contract, make sure that the employer explains to you what will lead to you being summarily dismissed for committing gross misconduct. Yes. So as you work for them, you should be aware, yeah, of what you're supposed to do and what you're not supposed to do. But it's common knowledge that you are not supposed to steal from your employer.
So yeah. Thank you very much, our viewers. That was just an introduction of our next series of discussions on unfair terminations, or unfair termination rather. So I'm sure you're going to follow up this. We are going to continue giving you this. So thank you very much. As usual, this is Ruoth
and Mengesa Legal Talks
on Mengesa Legal Talks and Winga Talks. Until next time, be safe, be sure.
Bye.
Bye.